Tasha May,
Fantastic. Where do you live? What city?
Trotwood.
Gotcha. And how long have you been a caregiver?
My oldest child that I caregived is now in their 30s, so I would say maybe about 20 years in total.
Do any of your own children live with you?
Not anymore.
Gotcha.
They're all grown.
And how many kinship children live with you?
2.
And what are their ages and genders?
So I have a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old.
Boy, girl?
Both girls.
Gotcha. And what is your relationship to them?
I am great aunt to one and aunt to the other.
Gotcha. And what is your legal relationship with them?
Mom.
Do you have legal custody?
Oh, so I do have legal custody of them, or legal guardianship, if that's how you want to call it. I think that's the proper title.
What are the reasons that these children came into your care?
Parents, one child, both children's parents used. One has multiple disabilities, and her mother just was not deemed fit to be able to care for her. There was drug use and alcohol use during her pregnancy, which caused her multiple issues, so she was taken at birth. And then the other one, an overdose from her mother led to me having custody of her.
Do you have support from others, family, friends, neighbors, church?
I say this loosely. I do have some support from the church as far as when we're at church, or if there are, people will say, if you need something, let me know, but don't really have that. I am their main support. It's hard. I have one who has multiple disabilities, from autism, a cystic cyst on her brain, kidney failure, just a lot of fetal alcohol poisoning, so now fetal alcohol disease, just requires all kinds of therapies, and it's hard no one really has the patience to deal with her. So no real support.
What are some of the challenges that you face, and how do you feel like these can be improved?
Some of the challenges that we face is financial. With them being relatives, you don't get the support that, say, if you were fostering a child that wasn't yours. They say that the system is here to help, but all that you really get is medical assistance, not necessarily any kind of financial. And when you have a child that has this many disabilities, like CareSource only covers so much, and then there's a lot of out of pocket if you want her to really succeed. So you want to do extra therapies or extra things to get her to the best capability for her. So I think that things could change if they really understood what family members go through. Yes, we are family, but also we can use that support, because oftentimes when you have a family member, your family can go against you just because they're on the outside looking in. So they're like, you're trying to raise a child that's not really yours. You're putting, these thoughts in the children's head, or they feel like, why aren't you allowing them to just do whatever they want with the kid, or give them back? Like, there's so many things that come along with that. And we also need support. So there's not a lot of groups that really are here in the Dayton area for people who go through that, especially people who have children with multiple disabilities. So I think that support group for not just the parent and the kid together, but also for the caregiver to have that support.
So you mentioned a little bit supports. I mean, challenges in terms of financial, food stamps, childcare, school, health, mental health, respite, activities, support groups?
All of that. So we don't get food stamps because they said that we make too much money on our own. However, like the money we make just barely gets us through. We don't get public housing, we don't get Section 8. So trying to deal with all of that, those bills, and then to have two extra children added into that income. Yes, that income worked for us, but now that we have extra children in the house, that income changes. You have to get a bigger place. For us, we don't own a home, so I'm renting. So then we're looking at $1,500 for rent just to be able to, for the kids to have their own room. Food cost has gone up. So, you don't have that. One of my things that I do is now I garden so that, well, they say I farm because it's so big, but that's my way of supplementing the income so that it works for us is I grow all of our vegetables. So any kind of vegetable that we do, I grow on the side of my house in raised beds or containers that I find and recycle. And that kind of makes it work, but when the kids want stuff or something comes up, especially with clothing and things of that sort, it's just, you got to rob Peter to pay Paul. So supporting that area.
You mentioned housing a little bit. Do you want to expand on that at all?
Yeah, so again, when we first took on the children, they make it sound really good. Oh, you won't have to, worry about this. You'll get this income for the children. You'll get that income for the children. We'll be able to help with this. We'll give you vouchers for clothing. None of that is true. Like, once they find out that it's a relative, it's all hands off. You go down to the job center and they're like, oh, even though they say, the social worker says it's not based on your income, when you get there, it's based on your income. If the child is a family member, because they just assume because it's a family member, that's your responsibility to care for them, so you don't get housing. So we're stuck in a house that is not, I don't see as fittable. We have a crappy landlord who doesn't want to fix anything, but I have no choice. Like, it's either try to move and deal with somebody else or a higher rent bracket because I've been there for so long. I mean, at $1,500, that's a steal compared to, what I would need if I was to go out there and get more. So just not help in that area. It's really hard, and the government looks at you as if you want a handout, and it's not a handout. We just sometimes need support because it's hard caring for children, especially with my child having a disability. Excuse me. I had to stop working to care for her 24 hours because she needs 24-hour care. And so that just left my husband's income. So, of course, he spends a lot of time working overtime to be able to make the bills work. And then they're like, oh, well, he brings in this. Yeah, because he's working 60 hours, 70 hours a week. So it's hard. So that support is not there. Like his last week, he had 110 hours that he worked. And he literally worked like day and night, double shifts, just so that we can be able to do the things that we need to take care of for the kids. So it can be daunting, but people don't see that. Like the government's just like, oh, well, this is what we got coming in. It shows this income, but they don't know the sacrifices that are made, which leads me to having to do all the appointments, care for my health, their health, just running.
Yeah. So what about your own personal needs, your health, your mental health?
So currently my mental is, it has its moments. I'm dealing with the loss of a sister, so trying to navigate that and navigate the children is hard. Medical wise, I put off a lot of my appointments because my youngest, we live at Children's. We're here 5 days out of the week. There's 7 days in the week. We would probably be here on the weekend if it was open. But from nephrology, ophthalmology, the neurology, you name it, she literally sees everybody. She sees ear, nose, throat. She had feeding tube. She sees the kidney doctor, the neurologist. She had collapsed fingers. So we're at the hanger clinic for those things. We're at therapy 3 times a week. You name it, she only has one kidney. So kidney dysplasia, we're at the sleep clinic because she's off balance. She has autism. Just there's a lot, and so she doesn't sleep often. So I'm just walking on pure adrenaline because they have no one else to support them.
Are the parents involved?
No. They try to be involved to look good for the court. So they do have parental rights to be able to see the child. But often we struggle with the empty promises of, oh, we're going to come and see you, we're going to come pick her up, or we're going to come pick her up, and then it doesn't happen. And then, they're looking at me like, why didn't my dad come get me? Why didn't my mom come get me? And then in my instance, and it's not everybody else's, we're at a battle. So one of the kids' parents literally tells them that I stole the child from them and I'm keeping them from being able to see their child. But they have experienced over 7 overdoses. But, I don't tell the child that because I don't want to give the child an ill feeling about the parent. I very much believe in family structure, and it's hard when one is my brother, and then the other one is my sister's daughter who passed, and then she is just like the total opposite. She constantly tells the little girl, like, I don't like you, why are you this way? And I don't see how, like, it's just so, she's super drawn to her mother, and the mother is like a push away, and then the other one is not so drawn to the parents because they've let her down on so many occasions, but then they're like pushing for it with broken promises. So it just makes it hard.
Yeah, yeah. What are the rewards?
The rewards is for the youngest, my now 7-year-old, the reward is when I got her, she had spent the first 9.5 months in NICU. From NICU, before she turned a year old, she had been through 6 foster families, and they said she wouldn't make it. They had basically put her in respite and said, she would die in there. And I've always been a praying person, so everything that they said she would never be able to do, I make sure that she's able to do. And so that is my reward in seeing her overcome so many obstacles from not talking. She was mute, no sign language, to now talking, saying she would never walk. And she went through braces and wheelchair and the walker and just all types of things to now walking. They said she would never be able to eat on her own. She came off of her feeding tube at 4 years old. So all of the things that they said she would never be able to do, like hold a pencil. We did therapy, very intense, to make sure that she can grip. She just graduated kindergarten. So for me, those are the rewards, to see the smile in their face. They both call me mom, although, other people try to be like auntie. They know their story, but just to be like, I don't care what nobody says. I'm blessed with two moms. Like I got my mom, and then I got my mom, and so that is what makes me smile. And in those moments where I feel like I can't do it anymore, they're my biggest encouragers. They come and they're just like, "What's wrong? Let's do this. Let's go get ice cream." And so even though they can't take me, just for them to make those suggestions just brightens my day.
What are your hopes for the children in your situation? Reunification with the parents, long-term responsibility?
Um, I would hope for reunification, but I am at the point where I don't think that reunification would benefit them. Just because I know their situations, I know that even if their parents, their biologicals, weren't in the situation that they were in, they still wouldn't give them that attention that they need at this area or point in their life. Um, so I want them to know them and understand, but I don't. I just think that it would be too hard on them to be moved out of that situation or out of my home. I just think that that would devastate them. We also already go through issues as far as they're both in counseling, just by knowing the situations. Instead of their parents waiting until they were old enough to understand, they just dropped it on them. And so that was a hard pill to swallow. So, yeah, I want both of them to just know that they can do anything. If they put their mind to it, they can do anything. So whatever God has for them, I want them to be able to have that opportunity without anything holding them back.
Thank you so much for sitting down and sharing your story today. This was excellent.
You're welcome. Thank you for listening.